I am a killer, experienced and money-hungry. To quickly achieve financial freedom, I took on a risky big job. The employer offered me 10,000 gold to enter the palace and assassinate the emperor. 3 months later, the employer asked me furiously, "Do you have any professional ethics?" Adjusting the phoenix crown on my head, I replied calmly, "I'm sorry, but what he offered was simply too much." Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. To assassinate the emperor, I entered the palace as a maidservant. Every night when darkness fell and the wind howled, I would search for the emperor's whereabouts, waiting for the right moment to strike. Alas, the emperor was heavily guarded, and I never found an opportunity, until this day, when I encountered a fellow practitioner, dressed in black nightclothes. He was skulking about on the rooftops. What could he be up to? I walked over and tapped him on the shoulder. "Found anything yet?" My companion turned to look at me, his expression slightly stunned. "Looking for what?" With a face full of utter conviction, I replied, "The emperor. Who else would come to this place to assassinate if not the emperor?" As if I had seen through his thoughts, my companion wore a strange smile. "Didn't find him. Seems he's not in his bedchamber." I sighed softly and turned to leave, only to find 2 burly men with knives standing on the roof, glaring at me fiercely. I quickly tried to leap away, but before my feet could leave the ground, I was caught. The burly man turned to look at the figure in black. "Your Majesty, how should we deal with him?" Your Majesty." The man in black lifted my chin to examine my face, his gaze inscrutable. "Lock her up. We'll interrogate her slowly." Help! How could he be the emperor? Which emperor would wear night clothes and climb onto rooftops in the middle of the night? I was thrown into a dark prison. The emperor changed into his dragon robe to interrogate me. I gazed at him in the dim light and, before I knew it, was completely spellbound. The emperor, he's so handsome. I couldn't see clearly from the rooftop earlier, but now looking at him again, he's truly majestic and noble. With dignified features befitting an emperor, the emperor seemed somewhat uncomfortable under my gaze and asked coldly, "Who sent you here?" I answered honestly, "I don't know, I'm just a low-level staff member." The emperor was taken aback, seemingly not expecting such an answer from me. Then, with a cold smile playing at the corners of his lips, he said in a low voice, "I give you 2 choices. 1. Die after enduring all manner of torture, or 2. Serve me and work for me. You only get 1 chance to choose." I let out a cold laugh after hearing this. "What do you take me for? Even us assassins have professional ethics. You know, doing such treacherous things would make me a laughingstock among my peers." The emperor glanced at me sideways. "So you're choosing option 1. I nodded. "I choose option 2. The emperor gazed at me with an inscrutable expression, while the burly man behind him struggled to suppress his laughter. "Release her, clean her up, and send her to my chambers." With these words, the emperor swept his dragon-embroidered robe aside and strode away. I let out a soft sigh of relief. My life was spared for now. Wait a minute. Washed clean, delivered to his palace. I grabbed the guard who opened my cell door and asked, "Excuse me, but His Majesty wants me to." The guard pried open my mouth, shoved in a pill, and said expressionlessly, "To serve in bed." I froze in place. Me, a full-fledged assassin, being asked to serve the emperor in bed? This is too humiliating, too exciting. Hey, what did he just give me to eat? Could it be that indescribable kind of drug? I'm an assassin, and right now I'm lying on the emperor's dragon bed. Covered by the emperor's dragon quilt, the emperor undressed before me, revealing his 8-pack abs, and then changed into his undergarments and sat down to read. Me, something's not right. Did I take an aphrodisiac or poison by mistake? "Why, Your Majesty." "Shut up." "Got it, it must be poison. Damn it." The emperor read his book for a long time, lying in bed with nothing to do. I eventually drifted off to sleep. Half asleep, I felt someone gently touch my face. His movements were tender, but his tone was icy cold. Can a killer really sleep this soundly? Damn it. I spent the night in the emperor's bedchamber, and the next day I was promoted from palace maid to noble lady, even granted my own palace. From then on, I became the most favored in the harem. No, actually, the emperor's harem was empty except for me alone. The emperor came to my palace every night, sometimes even summoning me to stay by his side all night while he reviewed memorials in the Hall of Mental Cultivation. Every few days, he would promote me again. A month later, when I met my employer again, I had already been elevated to the rank of noble consort. That day, the emperor held a banquet in the palace, attended by many officials and nobles. Amid the crowd, I spotted a familiar face. Pretending to excuse myself to the restroom, I met my employer behind the rockery. "My lord, Please listen to me, this is what happened. Fearing my employer might misunderstand, I hurriedly spoke first. I accidentally exposed myself, and the Emperor fed me poison. I can only bide my time by his side for now, waiting for the right moment. My employer frowned at me in my elaborate attire, his expression as if he'd eaten something foul. Then he clicked his tongue twice and exclaimed, "Qi Sheng's taste is truly unique." My face darkened as I replied slowly, "Your Highness has excellent taste. I'll be sure to inform the Emperor that his dear uncle, Prince Su, has impeccable preferences." Prince Su snorted dismissively and said with indifference, "Since you're already exposed, play along, stay close to him and be my eyes and ears." I looked troubled. This timeline is way too long, it'll delay my other orders, plus I've been poisoned, that should count as a work injury. What do you mean, gotta pay more? Prince Su looked at me with disdain. Another 5,000 gold, I burst into laughter, beaming from ear to ear. "At your command, my prince, just say the word." Prince Su raised his eyes to look at me. Has he shown any unusual behavior lately? I lowered my voice to a whisper, adopting a gossipy tone. Everything else is normal. But he makes me attend his bedchamber every night, yet he's never laid a finger on me. I suspect he might be incapable. After the banquet, the Emperor seemed somewhat displeased. Thinking he would read as usual, I quietly prepared to go to bed, but unexpectedly, he followed me onto the bed. His tall figure loomed over me, and I felt a tiny bit panicked. "Your Majesty." The direct and domineering kiss left my mind completely blank. The drunken breaths of the person above me grew increasingly ragged, and my heart became equally tangled. It wasn't until something hard pressed painfully against me that I suddenly pushed the Emperor away. I'm a little scared." The Emperor's expression seemed to carry a hint of vengeful satisfaction as he removed his garments one by one, revealing his 8-pack abs once more, and then changed into a set of night-climbing attire. "What are you staring at? Hurry up and change, it's not like you don't have any." I snapped out of my daze and finally came to my senses, slowly fishing out my own night-climbing outfit from the chest before following the Emperor onto the rooftop. An older brother brought up 2 jars of wine, one for me and one for the Emperor. We drank slowly, neither of us speaking. After a long while, the Emperor seemed a bit drunk. Summoning my courage, I asked, "Can I ask you something? Why did you want me to?" The Emperor's tone lacked its usual authority, carrying instead a youthful innocence. "People keep urging me to take concubines, it's so annoying." "Then why don't you take concubines?" The Emperor paused before speaking slowly. "Because of a promise." I couldn't help but laugh. The mighty Emperor actually refrains from taking concubines for some promise. Gazing into the endless darkness beyond, the Emperor murmured, "What would a mere assassin like you know about it? I truly don't understand." "Because I know the Emperor is no benevolent ruler. He ascended the throne as a child, relying entirely on Prince Su and several regent ministers to stabilize his reign. Yet the first thing he did after assuming personal rule at 14 was to conspire with the Grand General to convict Prince Su of crimes, banishing him from court politics to become an idle noble. For years, he had purged the court by executing many high-ranking officials, not even sparing several of his own regent ministers. One could say he was ruthless and showed no mercy to anyone, not even his closest allies. How could such an emperor possibly refrain from taking concubines just because of some agreement? He is, after all, the ruler of a nation, a sovereign who can do as he pleases, so he must be deceiving me. But it seems he's not entirely incapable either. Could it be that he's into men? I gazed regretfully at the emperor's handsome profile, when suddenly he tilted his head to look at me. "What kind of expression is that?" I froze for a moment without speaking. The emperor studied me briefly, his eyes glinting with a dark, dangerous light. "You don't believe me?" I quickly waved my hands. I do. I believe you. Your Majesty's deep affection and righteousness are truly admirable." The emperor curled the corner of his lips in a half-smile as he turned his head. He slowly lay back down, squinting at the stars. "I have a task for you. Do it well, and there will be a reward." My heart stirred. What kind of reward? Could this be the antidote? Go poison the Grand General. I was asking about the reward. Go tomorrow night. Don't fail. I licked my lips and spoke slowly. The Grand General is peerless in martial arts, the foremost among ministers, a pillar of the state. How would a mere assassin like me dare? The emperor sneered. "Oh, is that so? Have you forgotten who you originally came to kill?" I awkwardly chuckled. Heh. That night, I arrived at the general's residence. Following the map the emperor had shown me, I quickly found my way to the Grand General's study. Quietly lifting a roof tile, I peeked at the Grand General engrossed in his reading, truly heroic and towering. so handsome it takes one's breath away. Before I could even wipe my drool, a rather pretty young maid entered carrying tea. General, your tea. The general set down his book and slowly picked up the teacup. I looked at the cup of tea I had poisoned in advance, feeling a faint pang of guilt. Such a handsome man, about to be killed by the emperor. Sigh, lost in thought, I was suddenly startled by the sound of a teacup shattering. How dare you dare scheme against this general? I was puzzled. Had the poison taken effect so quickly? Why did the general's voice sound so strong and vigorous, completely unlike someone who was poisoned? My lord, what's wrong? Why is your face so red? Should I call for a physician? My lord, what are you doing? That hurts. The little maid's voice was filled with terror, and suddenly I felt something was amiss. I focused my gaze and wow, the general had the little maid pinned against the wall. What are you screaming for? The drug's already been administered. Don't you know what I'm about to do? The general's voice was hoarse, his entire being exuding a suffocating, frenzied aura. The little maid wore an expression of utter confusion and shock. General, when the general kissed her, I finally quietly replaced the roof tile. Then in my heart, I silently cursed the emperor 800 times. Such an innocent little maid, what a perverted dog emperor, pervert. When I returned to the palace, the emperor was sitting in the hall of mental cultivation drinking tea, with memorials piled half a man's height before him. Back already? Did you succeed? How did you do it? I looked up at the emperor, his face bore a faint, ambiguous smile, and his gaze held a subtle hint of amusement as it rested on me. I really want to punch him. The mighty emperor drugged his own general with aphrodisiacs, and now he's asking me how it worked out. If you're so curious, why don't you go see for yourself? Pervert, I spoke slowly, word by word. The general is brave and capable, with a robust physique. He grabbed that delicate little maid in one swift motion. Brave and capable, robust physique. The emperor suddenly interrupted me, his tone laced with a hint of murderous intent. Upon closer reflection, that murderous intent carried a faint trace of jealousy. Did you see everything? The emperor's face darkened, each word practically squeezed through clenched teeth. I thought and thought, when suddenly enlightenment struck. Well then, at last I understand. So the emperor is in love with the general, because I said I saw the general's body. The emperor got jealous. In the blink of an eye, a forbidden love affair between the emperor and his favorite minister had already taken shape in my mind. No wonder they resorted to aphrodisiacs. The emperor must have turned love into hatred, using this method to humiliate the general. TSK, how scandalous. The emperor's murderous gaze still fixed on me. I immediately dropped to my knees, feigning panic. Nothing. This humble one saw nothing at all. I was merely guessing. How could someone of my lowly station dare to gaze upon the general's noble visage? Your Majesty need not worry. The emperor frowned deeply, staring at me in silence. I was speechless inside. Brother, you're the one who ordered me to poison her. Why are you getting jealous now? It was you who clearly said, no mistakes allowed. The atmosphere grew tense, just as I was wondering what to do. Sudden commotion erupted outside the hall of mental cultivation. Qi Sheng, get your ass out here right now. The furious voice came from beyond the doors, which were then kicked open with a bang. The disheveled general burst in. Several guards surrounded him, yet none dared to approach. The emperor waved his hand to dismiss the crowd and spoke calmly. What troubles you, my beloved minister? The general was about to lose his temper. Qi Sheng, what do you mean by this? Such despicable methods. The emperor sneered. Minister Yi has served the nation and its people with utmost dedication, sparing no effort. His contributions are undeniable. Now that I have a beauty by my side, I cannot bear to see Minister Yi lonely, so I thought I'd lend him a hand. Are you satisfied, my dear minister? The general trembled with rage, his lips parting but no words coming out, and suddenly, it all became crystal clear to me. No wonder they wanted me to play the role of a favored concubine. So this was the root of it all. The emperor wanted to make the general jealous. Qi Sheng, don't go too far. The general's face darkened, his tone laced with a hint of menace. The emperor's expression also turned gloomy as he slowly replied, I'm going too far. Wasn't it excessive when you kept urging me to take concubines every day? Now that the whip lashes your back, you finally understand the pain. The general laughed in exasperation. What do I have to fear, at worst? I'll take her into my household as a concubine. I dare to act and dare to take responsibility. And you, what are your intentions toward this favored consort of yours? The general suddenly pointed at me, having already retreated to a corner. I was completely baffled. What does this have to do with me? How did the gossip suddenly turn on me? Don't think I don't know. You think she looks just like Yi Chen. The emperor suddenly slammed the table and stood up, his eyes bloodshot and murderous. The Grand General fell silent. I was stunned. The emperor turned to look at me, his eyes clearly telling me to scram. I promptly rose and scurried out of the hall of mental cultivation in 3 quick strides. Returning to my own palace, I bathed, changed clothes, and went to bed. In the middle of the night, someone entered my bedchamber and climbed onto my bed. I turned over and continued sleeping. The person gently embraced me from behind. After a long while, he spoke softly, his warm breath brushing past the side of my ear. Once, I had a friend. I let out a big yawn and asked with a thick nasal tone, "Your Majesty still hasn't said what reward you'll give me." The person behind me paused, the hand at my waist suddenly tightened, then began to slowly wander. "How about rewarding you with a night in my bed?" I snapped awake instantly. With a carp's leap, I sprang from the bed. "Your Majesty, there's no need for such formal rewards between us. I've got a pressing bladder matter, you sleep first." With that, I quickly slipped out the door, not giving the emperor a chance to speak. As I walked, I thought to myself, the emperor must be regretting it now. If the general really did sleep with the little maid, he'd be unwilling to let it go. But I'm no little maid, I'm a damn assassin. And assassins have their pride. The next day, 2 major events emerged from the imperial palace. The first was that the guardian general of the nation stormed into the hall of mental cultivation at night and quarreled with the emperor until dawn, creating an extremely ugly scene. The second was, I got promoted again. The emperor actually issued an edict making me an imperial noble consort. A grand imperial concubine investiture ceremony is to be held. This violated court protocols, enraging the general who repeatedly remonstrated before the throne, only to have the emperor dismiss his petitions each time. The palace whispers that the emperor loves me to the marrow of his bones, so uncontrollably that he would even offend the general he's always revered. None know the bitterness in my heart. What kind of favor is this? It's just using my promotion to provoke the general, titled as a noble consort, but in reality, I'm just cannon fodder. Yet no one could oppose the emperor's decision. Several days later, the investiture ceremony proceeded as scheduled. That day, I sat upright beside the emperor, drowsy with sleep. Who can tell me why we have to get up in the middle of the night to wash and put on makeup for this kind of event? Who can tell me why this headdress is so heavy? Is there any humanity left when you have to wear something weighing over 10 pounds on your head for several hours? Halfway through the event, the emperor seemed distracted, his gaze constantly sweeping through the crowd. I knew he was looking at General Yi, but unfortunately General Yi kept a stern face and didn't glance at the emperor at all. Alas, these two, so heartbreaking. By now the ceremony was nearing its end, and the palace official came forward with the precious register, ready for the emperor to bestow it. My bleary eyes gazed at the eunuch when suddenly a chill ran down my spine. My heart jolted. Something was wrong. This eunuch was one of us. The emperor remained oblivious as he reached for the imperial decree. At that very moment, the eunuch drew a flexible sword and thrust it toward the emperor's throat. I had been alert and struck almost simultaneously, but the palm strike meant for the eunuch's chest landed on his shoulder instead. Damn this headdress, it's far too heavy. The eunuch, having missed his attack, suddenly turned and thrust toward me. At that moment, the emperor actually raised his arm in front of me, as if trying to shield me. I saw the eunuch holding a sword in his left hand and knew something was wrong. Sure enough, as he thrust halfway, a hidden weapon suddenly flew from his right sleeve toward the emperor. At that moment, the emperor's attention was entirely on me. There was no way he could dodge the projectile. Without a second thought, I turned and threw myself around the emperor, shielding him. A sharp pain shot through my right shoulder, and I instinctively groaned. The emperor's body trembled violently in response. Coming to my senses, I knew I was doomed. The assassin who came to kill the emperor must have coated their hidden weapon with poison to ensure success. Sure enough, I quickly began losing consciousness. I felt someone strike down the palace eunuch with a palm strike, then hold me tightly in their arms. Chaos erupted all around me. In my dazed state, I thought I saw the emperor's panicked face, and then perhaps the stubborn gaze of that young boy. I closed my eyes and mustered all my strength to speak. "Do well, Qi Sheng, do your best. The general is a good man. Please cherish the one before you." Before losing consciousness, I heard an angry voice shouting in my ear, "Mo Xiaoqi, say it again. What the hell do you mean by cherish the one before you? I'm a killer, skilled, professional, and always after money, right now. I'm lying on the emperor's dragon bed, covered by the emperor's dragon quilt, desperately trying to figure out why my tumultuous life hasn't come to an end. I distinctly remember being hit by a hidden weapon, one laced with poison. Her Highness the noble consort has awakened, a maidservant exclaimed in surprise. Then followed a flurry of commotion as imperial physicians filed in one after another, crowding around my bedside until not a drop of water could trickle through. I lifted my gaze to scan the room but saw no sign of the Emperor. The imperial physician said I was fortunate the poison on the hidden weapon wasn't lethal. Now, the toxins in my body are no longer a concern, and only the wound on my back needs proper care. Such flesh wounds are but a trifle to me. I waited 3 days but never saw the Emperor, only hearing earth-shattering news from the palace servants' whispers. The assassin at the imperial consort ceremony was actually sent by General Yi. The assassin immediately turned traitor and exposed the general. The Emperor was initially unwilling to believe it, but General Yi directly confessed to the crime. The Emperor flew into a rage, convicted Yi Chen of regicide and rebellion, and imprisoned him in the Dali Temple. I couldn't help but shake my head in disbelief. What a tragic pair of lovebirds, turned from love to hatred. It had come to such a dire end. At night, there was a strange noise on the roof. After some thought, I changed into my night clothes and climbed up. The Emperor was indeed there. He was quietly drinking alone. When he saw me, his eyes flickered slightly. I wanted to say something, but didn't know how to begin, so I simply sat down and drank with him. After a while, the Emperor suddenly spoke. Why save me? Wouldn't my death have been perfect for your mission? I vigorously rubbed my hands together. If you died, who'd give me the antidote? Surely I can't just throw my life away for work, can I? The Emperor turned to look at me, his eyes seemingly swirling with countless emotions, but they all quickly faded into darkness. Was that really the reason? I nodded, my gaze as sincere as could be. Amham. The Emperor lowered his head and let out a couple of cold chuckles, saying nothing more. I don't know how much time passed, but a small pile of empty wine jars had gathered around the Emperor's feet, and still he showed no sign of stopping. I looked at his face and felt he must be drunk. So I asked a question I'd been curious about for a long time. Why do you love wearing night clothes and climbing onto rooftops so much? The Emperor rolled his eyes at me. Wouldn't wearing imperial robes make it obvious for everyone to see me? Do I not have any dignity to maintain? Then let me rephrase that. Why do you love climbing onto rooftops so much? The Emperor sighed. Night and solitude are always the perfect match. I took a deep breath and looked at the Emperor. Thanks. I'm thoroughly greased. It seems the Emperor was truly drunk beyond reason. Just as I was considering calling for a strong man to carry him down, I heard the Emperor murmur again, night and longing are the most perfect match. I was stunned for a moment. This was missing General Yi Chen, so every time, the Emperor would come to this rooftop in his night clothes, gazing at the night sky, longing for the lover he could never be with. I could just die, in this very moment. With this scene before me, I couldn't help but comfort the Emperor. Your Majesty, Lord Yi might just be angry with you. Look, the poison on the hidden weapon wasn't even fatal. Once this blows over, you can just release him. Isn't that fine? If that really doesn't work. I know a few colleagues handsome with broad shoulders, slender waists, elegant and refined. They share your interests. Should I introduce you? Ouch, ouch, ouch. That hurts. Before I could finish speaking, my wrist was already clamped in a vice-like grip. The Emperor's face darkened as he loomed over me. Mo Xiaoqi, what do you take me for? My wrist ached terribly, and I quickly explained in a low voice, Your Majesty, rest assured, I don't discriminate against same-sex relationships, and I haven't spread any rumors. You let go. The Emperor let out a cold laugh and tightened his grip. I felt like my hand was about to snap. My beloved consort. It seems you have quite the misunderstanding about me. The Emperor leaned close to my ear and whispered ominously, First you say I'm impotent, then you claim I'm a cut sleeve. Truly, you have no regard for your own life. I couldn't help but cry out, but you just said you missed Yi Eng. Perhaps my voice was too loud, because the Emperor directly covered my mouth to stop me from continuing. I thought he might have acted this way out of urgency, but after waiting for a long while, he showed no sign of stopping, even, gradually getting into the swing of things. My blood surged slowly, making it hard to breathe, and the last shred of my rationality made me reach out to push the Emperor away. Unexpectedly, the Emperor simply scooped me up by the waist. With a whoosh, he flew down from the rooftop and swiftly carried me into the bedchamber with lightning speed. It wasn't until I was thrown onto the bed that I finally snapped out of my daze. The Emperor wasn't drunk at all. And his martial skills were this impressive. From the looks of it, if we really fought, I probably couldn't beat him. The Emperor swiftly removed his outer robe and pressed down on me. I quickly raised my hands to push against his chest, stammering as I spoke, Wait, Hold on, I'm just some shady assassin. Your Majesty, have you forgotten? The Emperor reached out to lower the bed curtain while undressing, saying, your name is Mo Xiaoqi. An assassin from Lingyun Pavilion, cunning by nature and valuing money above all else. In your 8 years in this profession, you've failed 9.5 times out of 10 missions, making you the perennial bottom-ranked assassin on the hit list. Damn, he actually investigated me. All my secrets have been exposed, but now you are my imperial consort. As for your past misdeeds, I shall let bygones be bygones. The Emperor stripped down until he was left wearing only his underpants. While giving me a magnanimous look, I silently stared at his 8-pack abs and couldn't help but lick my lips. Qi Sheng, are you really not into men? The Emperor chuckled softly as he reached to undo my belt. Whether I am or not, won't you find out soon enough? With that, he leaned down and bit my shoulder. It hurts. From that day on, the Emperor would visit my chamber several times a day. Come for lunch, come for afternoon tea. Come even when it's time to sleep at night. Every time, I would pat my chest and solemnly swear to him, Your Majesty, I was wrong. I've deeply realized that you're an unyielding straight man. I apologize for what I said before. Please forgive me, Your Majesty. Yet the Emperor would always look at me with a smile and say, this Emperor does not accept your apology. This Emperor thinks you still don't understand well enough. This Emperor will make you understand even more. Enough said. My back hurts. These days the Emperor always appears in high spirits before me, yet I know he hasn't had it easy lately. After all, the memorials in the Hall of Mental Cultivation keep piling up day by day, stacked there like a small mountain. The general's rebellion caused quite a stir in the imperial court. Now with no clear leader, officials from various factions are openly and covertly fighting, making endless commotion, yet the Emperor appeared completely composed, as if not the least bit anxious. But there was one person who was very anxious. That day, I suddenly received word from Prince Su summoning me to meet him in the Imperial Garden at midnight. This was highly dangerous behavior, showing just how urgent his matter must be. I'm feeling a bit worried. The Emperor stays in my palace every night. If I sneak out after dark, he'll definitely notice. But if I don't go, I still haven't received my final payment. I dare not offend the sponsor. At night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. The Emperor looked at me coldly and suddenly said, Did you hear that? I was stunned. My stomach is growling. Really? Yes. I instinctively rubbed my lower back. You wouldn't be thinking of eating me, would you? Don't go too far. The Emperor covered my mouth. I do want to eat you. The Osmanthus cakes you make with your own hands. I froze for a moment, swallowing the words that had already reached my lips. If I hadn't had business to attend to today, I would have poked his forehead and scolded him. Asking me to make Osmanthus cakes in the dead of night, do I look like an Osmanthus cake to you? But today I could only put on a doting expression and say, then wait here like a good boy. I'll go make some for you. The Emperor beamed at me, and I beamed right back at him. Something feels off, but there's no time to dwell on it. After leaving, I sent the maid to make Osmanthus cakes while I quietly slipped into the Imperial Garden alone. Prince Su had been waiting there for quite some time. You're late. Big brother, the Emperor is in my bed. I had to find an excuse to get out. In the darkness, Prince Su's voice carried a hint of amusement. You really have some skills. That Qi Sheng is utterly bewitched by you. Exclusive favor throughout the entire palace. I forced a dry laugh. No, it's all just for show. Prince Su's tone suddenly turned cold. During the last imperial concubine coronation ceremony, was the assassin really sent by Yi Chen? I smacked my lips. Should be. Didn't Yi Chen admit it? Yi Chen grew up with Qi Sheng since childhood and helped him commit many wicked deeds. Why would he suddenly try to assassinate Qi Sheng now? Prince Su sneered as he stepped closer to me. This prince believes there must be some trickery involved. What do you say? I lowered my voice and leaned closer to Prince Su. Your Highness is wise. There's indeed something amiss in this matter. In truth, General Yi Chen's feelings towards Qi Sheng turned from love to hatred. I distinctly felt Prince Su's body tremble. Yi Chen and Qi Sheng had long been secretly in love, but their master-subject relationship made it impossible. Later, Yi Chen kept urging Qi Sheng to take concubines, which enraged him so much that he had me play the role of his favored consort just to make Yi Chen jealous. Alas, General Yi Chen's jealousy was too overwhelming. When he saw Qi Sheng about to make me his noble consort, he flew into such a rage that the assassination attempt happened. I don't think he truly wanted to kill Qi Sheng, he wanted Qi Sheng to kill him instead. Prince Su remained silent for a long while. After a moment, he murmured darkly, in that case, Let Qi Sheng kill Yi Chen. I waved my hand dismissively. That's beyond my power. Their bond runs deep. If I were to counsel Qi Sheng, he'd probably kill me first. Prince Su sneered. If successful, another 5,000 gold. I bowed to Prince Su with a flourish. Just you wait and see. Carrying the Osman thus cakes, I returned to the bedchamber. The Emperor was still waiting for me. Was he really that hungry? I couldn't help but ask, aren't you sleepy? The Emperor shook his head. My mind is troubled, making sleep difficult. I picked up a piece of Osman thus cake and popped it into my mouth. What's the matter? I'm considering how to deal with Yi Chen. I popped a Osman thus cake into my mouth and picked up another. Just execute him. Rebellion is a capital crime. The Emperor stared at me intently, making me slightly uneasy. I quickly forced a smile. Just kidding. Yi Chen must not be killed. Who else would keep these court officials in check for you? Who would guard the borders for you? He's the nation's guardian general after all. The Emperor looked at me for a moment, pensively picked up a piece of Osman thus cake, took an extremely small bite, savored it for a while, and then said to me, I once had a friend who loved Osman thus cakes the most. Her name was Su Wn. Do you know her? I set down the plate of Osman thus cakes and shook my head. No, I don't. The Emperor raised his head to look at me. I once made a promise with her that in this lifetime, I would surely make her my Empress, and neither of us would betray the other. I lowered my head with a dry laugh. Really, unfortunately, 10 years ago, my imperial father killed her father and confiscated her family's property. I never saw her again after that. Do you think she must hate me so much that she hasn't come to see me all these years? I wiped the crumbs from the corner of my mouth with my sleeve and said indifferently, or maybe she's already dead. The Emperor stared at me coldly as I covered my mouth and let out a big yawn. I was just saying it casually. If she wants to see you, she'll come naturally. Don't dwell on it. Hurry up and figure out how to release General Yi. The Emperor reached out, pulled me close, and pressed me onto his lap. Then I'll trouble my beloved consort to make a trip to the Dali temple for me. Tell Yi Chen that as long as he admits his mistake to me, I'll release him. I was truly exhausted and replied perfunctorily, Yes, Your Majesty can rest assured. I'll definitely convey your longing to General Yi properly and make sure he comes to kowtow and admit his mistake. The Emperor suddenly tightened his grip around my waist, frowning as he asked, What are you implying? I instantly became alert. I wasn't. Hey, why are you taking off my clothes? This back of mine will be ruined sooner or later. Early the next morning, I went to the Dali temple. The usually majestic and proud general sat in his prison cell dressed in plain clothes, revealing an unexpectedly handsome demeanor. General Yi, His Majesty has sent me to deliver a message if you're willing to admit your mistake. Yi Chen glanced up at me briefly before lowering his eyes again. Understood, you may leave. But I hadn't finished speaking yet. As long as you're willing. Yi Chen waved his hand. This general understands. You may leave. Fine, I won't bother serving you anymore. Take it or leave it. If you won't tell me, can't I just make it up myself? After returning to the palace, I carried a bellyful of words to the hall of mental cultivation to see the Emperor. Before I could even open my mouth, a eunuch rushed in frantically, knelt down, and shouted, Your Majesty, it's terrible. General Yi has committed suicide in prison. I looked at the Emperor in shock, while he glared back at me with a dark expression. Help, I'm innocent. The Emperor surprisingly didn't punish me, just sent me to the cold palace to reflect. On my first night in the cold palace, I received a banknote and a small slip of paper. The account statement showed a full 10,000 gold coins deposited under my name. The note contained only 4 words, lure the dragon from its den. I thought the Emperor would avoid seeing me for at least several months and was worrying how to draw him out. But unexpectedly, on the 3rd day, he climbed over the wall of my cold palace. In the middle of the night, a cold man slipped into my warm bed, and before I could speak, his eager kiss silenced me. After a whirlwind of passion, I lay weakly against the Emperor's chest. You wronged me. I was wrong. So easy to talk to. How are you going to make it up to me? The Emperor, with his eyes closed, caressed my back, his voice tinged with laziness. What do you want? I traced circles lightly on his chest with my fingers. Give me the antidote. What antidote? You're not poisoned. So what you gave me back then was, just some sleeping pills that day. I was afraid you'd lose control and try something inappropriate with me. Later I realized your martial arts skills weren't much to speak of, not even as good as mine. Damn it, are you even human? I sat up angrily. Qi Sheng, you're really something. The Emperor propped himself up to look at me. I deeply regret it too. I should never have fed you that sleeping draught in the first place. You should be fed aphrodisiacs and forced to ravish me. I reached out to pinch the emperor's waist. You're so shameless. The emperor grabbed my arm and flipped me over. What is shame? Do I need to? I was released from the cold palace after just 3 days. Upon release, I was directly moved into the Ikuan palace, staring at the glittering golden characters above the door. I fretted so much I started sucking my teeth. Isn't Ikuan palace where the empress lives? I turned to ask my maids, who all knelt in unison, Your Majesty. The emperor has already decreed to confer upon you the title of empress, so casually, so suddenly. Last night, Qi Sheng didn't even notify me. From assassin to empress, throughout history, I'm probably the first. Sitting in the vast, luxurious hall, I let out a melancholic sigh. Are you really that unhappy being empress? A familiar voice sounded behind me, and I turned to see Qi Sheng. I'm cold, I want to wear my vest. Qi Sheng raised an eyebrow slightly. Your vest? Your vest has been gone for a long time, only now you feel cold. I gazed into Qi Sheng's eyes, his expression profound and desolate. After staring for what felt like an eternity, I suddenly smiled. Qi Sheng, it's been over a month since Yi Chen left. Let's go visit him. Qi Sheng remained silent for a moment before nodding. All right. Yi Chen's grave was built in the outskirts of the city, an hour's journey by carriage. All along the way, I felt restless and uneasy. As I approached the woods, I faintly heard soft footsteps. Assassins, protect His Majesty. The Imperial Guards also sensed something amiss and drew their swords while shouting in alarm. In an instant, several black-clad figures flew out from the woods, and a fierce fight quickly erupted outside. Taking advantage of the chaos, I jumped off the carriage, planning to slip into the woods. Unexpectedly, one of the black-clad figures charged straight at me and grabbed me by the collar. I hissed angrily. Why grab me? I'm one of you. The emperor is in the carriage, go kill him. The man in black acted as if he hadn't heard, gripping me tightly without letting go. Furious, I yelled, are you out of your mind? I'm one of you, one of your own, don't you understand? The surroundings suddenly fell silent, making my voice seem abruptly loud. I looked around. Good heavens, had the Imperial Guards actually fled? The group of black-clad figures were all staring fixedly at me. I cleared my throat softly and turned to look at the carriage. It stood quietly, riddled with holes, blood pooling on the ground. Su Wn, Su Xingyan didn't raise a daughter like you for nothing. Prince Su emerged from nowhere, looking at me with a half-smile. I sneered. Heh. Prince Su raised his hand, and 2 men in black entered the carriage to carry someone out. The man was dressed in imperial robes, already stone-cold dead. Su Wn, you're courting death. Prince Su took one glance and flew into a rage. How dare you deceive me with a corpse? I spat in contempt. What's it to you, a traitorous minister, if we deceive you? Prince Su stared at me with a deathly glare, his sinister gaze as if wanting to tear me limb from limb. You took 15,000 gold from me. Do you have any professional integrity at all? I adjusted the phoenix crown on my head. Can't help it, Qi Sheng offered too much. Me. I'd nearly forgotten if you hadn't reminded me. Prince Su suddenly grinned with eerie amusement. Now that you're the empress, I wonder if Qi Sheng would come crawling out if we stripped you naked and hung you from the city gates. Prince Su waved at the black-clad men behind me. Strip her clothes off. I knew I had reached a dead end, so I reached into my sleeve for the hidden dagger, ready to end my own life. To my surprise, the black-clad man seemed to guess my intention. He seized my hand and threw the dagger to the ground. In utter despair, I prepared to fight to the death, only to see the black-clad man turn and shield me with his own body. He removed his black mask and said solemnly, Imperial Uncle, no need for trouble, I have come. I stared at Qi Sheng's retreating figure in shock. Weren't you supposed to be in the palace? I clearly drugged you. Qi Sheng gripped my hand tightly, his teeth clenched in anger. We agreed neither would come. How can I rest easy when my empress is so disobedient? I knew I was in the wrong and stammered, unable to speak. Prince Su suddenly clapped his hands. Qi Sheng, your father was a philandering man, yet who would have thought you'd turn out to be such a devoted lover? What a pity, beauty ruins nations. Had you not come today, it would have been fine, but since you're here, you won't be leaving. Prince Su waved his hand, and all the black-clad men closed in. Prince Su drew his sword. Qi Sheng, today will be your end. My army has been stationed 3 miles outside the city for a long time, awaiting only my command to storm the palace. With Yi Chen dead and you away from the palace, there's no one to command the troops. The throne is already within my grasp. Qi Sheng's face turned cold. Is that so? I clenched my fists in secret. Prince Su had been scheming for years and must have come fully prepared. With the Imperial Guards absent and no one to send word for help, Qi Sheng was surely doomed. I was still thinking of a solution when I spotted a ghostly figure emerging in the distance behind Prince Su. Yi Chen. Prince Su roared. Yi Chen is long dead. What are you screaming about? Clutching Qi Sheng's back, I shrieked, a ghost. Ah, Yi Chen spoke expressionlessly. Your servant arrived late to protect your majesty. I beg your forgiveness. Qi Sheng shot Yi Chen a glare. You could have come a bit later and just collected my corpse. Qi Yang, I thought you could muster a grand spectacle. This general had to arrange an assassination and fake a prison death. Yet your pathetic rebel forces weren't even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. Yi Chen remarked with utter disdain. You all, how could this be? Impossible. Qi Sheng, you set me up. You all set me up. Qi Sheng frowned. Qi Yang, save your energy to beg forgiveness from our ancestors. Countless guards descended from the sky, immediately apprehending Prince Su and all the black-clad men. The world instantly became quiet. Yi Chen wiped his sword and looked up at me with a smile. Your Majesty the Empress, your plan to lure the snake out of its hole was truly brilliant. I forced a smile. Thanks. Qi Sheng wrapped his arm around my waist without even glancing at Yi Chen. I heard a young maid went missing from the general's residence, already over a month pregnant, yet no one cared for her. Pitiful indeed. Yi Chen's expression instantly darkened, then he turned and strode away without another word. I deliberately asked him, General Yi, what's the rush? Yi Chen's irritable voice came from afar. I'm going to find someone. Damn it. I couldn't help but laugh out loud, turning around to see Qi Sheng staring intently at me. If my Empress were to go missing, I wouldn't want to live either. Qi Sheng spoke with complete seriousness, his face solemn. I couldn't stop the corners of my mouth from curling upward. It won't get lost. I'm just going to withdraw money. You'd better be going to withdraw money. I looked up at Qi Sheng. His brows and eyes seemed to carry the Milky Way, making my heart gradually brighten, never to be silent again. The end.